Good morning. Welcome to today's briefing. And let me start with an update to President von der Leyen's agenda. Later today, the President will receive Friedrich Merz, Federal Chancellor of Germany. She will then meet Pact De Wever, Prime Minister of Belgium, together with Chancellor Merz. Moving on to next week, the President will chair the meeting of the College on Wednesday, and later she will deliver the keynote speech at the second conference of the Global Alliance to Counter Migrant Smuggling. In the evening, together with President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, she will receive Aleksandar Vučić, President of the Republic of Serbia. On Thursday, the President will participate in the political class of 25 gala dinner. That's all for the President's agenda for now. As usual, we will keep you informed of any further announcements in the coming days. And moving on, before giving you the floor, it's that time of the year again. We are launching the 2026 annual renewal for EU-accredited media professionals. As in previous years, you will receive an email invitation with all the instructions for the process, and to ensure uninterrupted access to the EU press facilities, we'd like to ask you to make sure that you submit your applications by 28th of January, I correct myself, 28th of February 2026. So that's the deadline for the applications for the annual renewal of accreditations, an important exercise to all of you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Inita Savaljeva from our team at the Accreditations Office. And you will find additional details in our daily news, which should be online by now. And let me use the opportunity to thank you for your cooperation over the past year, and we look forward to having you all again and more in the coming year. Now, let me call Thomas to the podium. He has some awaited news on the Digital Services Act. Thomas.
Thank you, Paula. Today, the Commission has issued a fine of €120 million to X for breaching the Digital Services Act. This is the first ever fine under the DSA. X has indeed breached its transparency obligation under the DSA. This includes X's blue check mark. It deceives users. Anyone can pay to obtain the verified status, and X does not meaningfully verify who is behind it. It also includes X advertising repository, which does not work properly, and X doesn't provide effective data access for researchers. Failure to comply with the non-compliance decision may lead to periodic penalty payments on top of today's fine. At the same time, we have adopted today and accepted TikTok's commitments to make its own advertising repository work. What does this show? Our objective is not a fine. If you engage constructively with the Commission, we settle cases. If you do not, we take action. You will find more information in the press releases that we have just published.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Et pour continuer, et en français, permettez-moi également de vous rappeler que justement les ministres responsables des télécommunications se sont réunis aujourd'hui à Bruxelles. La vice-présidente exécutive Virkkunen y participe au nom de la Commission, et l'ordre du jour inclut notamment l'adoption de conclusions sur la compétitivité européenne à l'ère numérique, la simplification et la numérisation, ainsi que le renforcement de la résilience face aux cyberattaques. La vice-présidente exécutive participera à la conférence de presse qui suivra la réunion aux alentours de 17h30. selon mon information. Comme d'habitude, veuillez garder vos questions sur ces sujets pour cette conférence de presse. Toutefois, nous répondrons à vos questions sur les décisions que Thomas vient d'annoncer concernant la loi sur les services numériques. Et de notre côté, c'est tout. On est prêt à prendre vos questions. Diego.
Thanks. It's some precisions on the meeting tonight or later this afternoon with Pact De Wever and Friedrich Merz. Since the German Chancellor said Friedrich Merz was in Brussels for private meetings, where will the President of the Commission meet both heads of government in the Commission or somewhere private in a restaurant or I don't know?
Thank you, Diego. So what I can say is I can confirm that President von der Leyen will indeed meet Chancellor Merz later today, this afternoon, and will then meet both Chancellor Merz and Prime Minister De Wever. I don't have additional details in terms of exact location. Jorge.
Hello, Paula. I would like to ask you about the national security strategy that the United States published a few hours ago because it has a dedicated chapter to Europe. The document is quite brutal, I must say. It denounces Europe's economic stagnation, civilizational erasure, censorship of free speech, loss of national identities, regulatory suffocation, and says that you have unrealistic expectations to end the war in Ukraine. This is, of course, coming from a country that you consider one of your closest allies. So do you have anything to respond to these extremely explosive accusations? Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Indeed, we've learned about the publication of this report. We did not yet have the time to look into it, assess it, so therefore we're not yet in a position to comment on any of it. David.
Thank you, Paolo. David Carretta, Radio Radicale. In fact, it's a strategy, and it fits on not just. It's not just a document; it's a strategy that it's going on since President Trump became again president. In the White House, we had the speech of the Vice President of the US in Munich. We have actions. We have the less support of the US for Ukraine. In fact, they stopped all the support because the Europeans are paying for weapons and so on and so on. So basically, it's not just a document or a report. This is a strategy by the US. And the content, it's quite clear. It doesn't take hours to read it and to study it. It's simple, direct, and by the way, one of the parts of the strategy will be to support the so-called patriots of Europe, which means far right. So I'm wondering if, well, I would ask you to have a position on that, because it's not just a report, it's action by the Trump presidency. And it's quite important since the US are, according to what President von der Leyen said in the last few months, a close ally of the EU. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And we will definitely have a position, as said, when we have the possibility to look closer into it. Now, in general, this is, as you say, a strategy from on the national security of the US, which historically, over the past decades, the US national security has been closely linked with Europe's national security. So obviously we'll look into it with interest and will certainly be able to take position in greater detail very soon.
Yes, Nikolai Nielsen, the Observer. You mentioned you'll be able to take a position very soon. Could you give us maybe a timeline? Would that be later today, next week sometime, or When?
I will not tell you exactly when, but we will obviously look into it, given the importance of this document, and we have received some requests, so we'll get back to you as soon as we have a clear position. Yes, Angela.
Yes, Angela Mauro, HuffPost. It's related to this. Can you give us a reply to DJ Vance's attack after before the another official announcement of the fine for X? He's accusing again, because he did it last February at the Munich conference for security, is accusing Europe of censorship, basically. So can you give us a line on this, please? Thanks.
Yes, on this subject, we have agreed to disagree with the way that some people in the US look at our legislation. It's not about censorship, and we have repeated it several times from this podium. So on this, we really agree to disagree on how it is perceived. But Thomas, you want to remind us of what it is?
Yes, I'll start by saying that today's decision has nothing to do with content moderation. That's the first element. Today it's about transparency provisions for citizens here in the European Union. That's point one. Then on censorship allegations, as Paula just said, we have been very, very, very clear, both on this podium and with the US administration since the beginning of the mandate. This DSA and our digital legislation have nothing to do with censorship. I can give you some figures in this regard. This year, so from January till December 2025, Instagram, more than 118 million content moderation decisions taken by the platform here in the EU, not by us. Facebook, more than 413 million content moderation decisions taken in the EU, not by us, by the platform. X, more than 616,000 content moderation decisions. These are facts. These are not speculations. These are real facts. We want platforms to enforce their terms and conditions and to make sure that our citizens can fight back against unjustified content moderation decisions taken by big tech. Now again, let me recall, final point on this, today's decisions have nothing to do with content moderation decisions.
Thank you. Yeah, Stefan.
Yes, in the strategy there is mention of a failed focus on regulatory suffocation, and the US would like to that Europe gives this up and regains self-confidence. So would you comment on this, maybe? Thank you.
I mean, no particular comment. Today's decision shows our self-confidence. We have a solid case at our disposal. We are ready to adopt a final decision. We adopt a final decision. Not targeting anyone, not targeting any company, not targeting any jurisdictions based on their color or their country of origin. Absolutely not. This is based on a process, democratic process. We have followed due process. Connect, the DG Connect has followed due process. A political decision can today be taken. The political decision is taken today.
Yes, Magnus.
Thank you, Paula. Magnus with Directive. Maybe I just got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, but I think it's telling that you cannot respond to what I think is pretty blatant language from this White House paper, and so I appreciate you need the time to digest it fully. Could you just at least respond to the question, do you think that European Union, as it says in this document, is a body that undermines political liberty, sovereignty, migration policies, and is hindering free speech in general? Thank you.
On that specifically, I can tell you absolutely not. Now, you will understand why I'm refraining from commenting on the strategy, because you've been referring to some excerpts of the strategy, and I want to really avoid going into individual excerpts of the strategy. We need to have an understanding of what it says as a whole and not comment on individual excerpts. It's an important document, obviously. As I said, traditionally, historically, over the past decades, The US national security has been very much linked also to Europe's security, which explains also all the work that we are doing with the US as our key ally and partner, notably when it comes, for instance, to the war in Ukraine, where we see the need, the absolute need to cooperate, where we've been insisting on the importance of our transatlantic partnership. And obviously we'll look into that and we'll provide you with our position on it when we have had the possibility to look not just at some individual quotes, but at the strategy as a whole. Other questions to Thomas, since we have him on the podium? Yes.
Thanks. Anupria from Euractiv. Just on the fine, because it's 120 million, but over the past few months we've also seen how much net worth does Elon Musk have. So could you just give us a bit of comparison and insight, because it really feels like this is pocket change for one of the richest man in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. I will not go into comparisons. I will bring procedure and facts in again. Let me start about the process. How do we come up to such a fine? There are different processes. First, you identify the provider of a company, because the fine is addressed to the provider of a company. Second, once this is done, and once a final decision can be taken, we look at different criteria. The nature of the breach, the gravity of the breach, recurrence of the breach, duration of the breach. This brings us to an amount, in this case here, 120 million euro. And then the ultimate step that we do is we make sure that these 120 million euro, that they do not exceed the 6% maximum ceiling foreseen in the legislation. This is the process that was followed. Now, is this dissuasive or not? We are happy to say that it's a proportionate fine, because we do everything here in a proportionate way in the Commission. Is it dissuasive or not? Definitely 120 million euro is more money than simply complying with our legislation.
Just as a follow-up, just to be clear, who are you fining? Are you fining X Holding, Elon Musk? Just to be very clear, thank you.
This is a fine that is addressed to X.
Other questions? Yes.
Peter Haag, Politico. I wanted to ask about the bundling of the announcements on X and TikTok, because the US has always said like this is an unfairly targeting of US companies by announcing that TikTok is not getting any fine and that you accepted commitments. Aren't you afraid that you're feeding the US framing of their companies being targeted while Chinese companies are off the hook?
To the opposite, we're encouraging you for compliance. I mean, both cases were ready together. That's a fact. That's why we adopt both decisions together. I mean, it's pretty obvious that in one case you have a company that has constructively engaged and offered formal commitments. We're happy to accept them because we do not want to issue fines. We want changes for our citizens and for our consumers. On the other hand side, you have a company that did not offer formal commitments. You have been yourself in this press room telling us that it has been 2 years. Yes, it has been 2 years for the Commission too. And we have a solid case at our disposal, and hence our decision to now go forward with the final non-compliance decision.
Thank you, Thomas. Any other questions to you? Let me see. Yes, we do have some online. Jan.
Hi, John Upishelli, Bloomberg News. I'm at home, sorry. I wanted to pick a bit on what Thomas said. Is the provider XX, even if X is a subsidiary of XAI, has there been an analysis within the Commission establishing that X, only the social network, is the provider of the service? Because that seems to jar with the definition of provider.
You know the file very good, Jan. Let me try to be a bit more precise. So indeed, that's the case for all tech cases. Before adopting a final decision, the Commission has the obligation to identify the corporate structure of the company. In this, we had indeed have different exchanges with the company, and we have a corporate structure that includes different layers, and at the top of the pyramid, indeed, you have the CEO of the company. Now, the fine that is issued today is addressed to the entire corporate structure, you know. So it's for a breach committed by X, but the fine is addressed to the entire corporate structure. I hope this clarifies.
Good. Yes.
Isalia Siefat pour Agence Europe. Je vais poser ma question en français. Il y a le Conseil TTE, donc qui se tient en ce moment. Il y a donc à l'agenda une discussion sur le DSA et son application. Il y a des États membres qui ont été quand même assez critiques sur la mise en œuvre du DSA, sur le fait que c'était peut-être pas à la hauteur de ce qui était attendu. Est-ce que le fait que cette déclaration de l'amende contre X arrive aujourd'hui était une manière pour la Commission d'avoir quelque chose à présenter aux États membres donc lors du Conseil, de dire regardez, le DSA fonctionne. On vous en donne une preuve aujourd'hui avec l'amende qu'on inflige à X. Merci.
Indépendamment du moment où on adopte des décisions, on est tout à fait persuadé que oui, notre législation fonctionne. On a pris le temps nécessaire, une fois que les décisions étaient mûres, on les a adoptées. C'est une bonne coïncidence que ce soit aujourd'hui le jour du Conseil. Ça permettra aussi effectivement de donner des exemples concrets de la mise en œuvre de la législation. Thomas, quelque chose à ajouter? Vas-y.
Juste un petit point. Si on avait vraiment voulu satisfaire, que ce soit le Parlement ou les conseils, vu le bruit qu'on a eu de l'autre côté de la route, on aurait adopté la décision plus tôt. On ne l'a pas fait. Pourquoi? Parce qu'elle n'était pas prête. Aujourd'hui, la décision est prête. On a écouté, bien entendu, tout ce qui s'est dit dans les États membres, ce qui s'est dit au Parlement, ce qui s'est dit de la part de nos citoyens. Mais nous, on suit de nouveau le bon processus. Aujourd'hui, on est prêt à adopter une décision. C'est la raison pour laquelle on l'adopte aujourd'hui.
Ouais. À ton avis, parce que j'ai encore en ligne des collègues qui n'ont pas encore eu l'occasion de poser des questions. Gabriele, Rosanna.
Thank you, Paola. Gabriele Rosana, Il Messaggero, Italy. Not so long ago, the US Secretary of Commerce, Lutnick, said here in Brussels that the EU must ease tech rules for lower steel tariffs. After today, your assessment is that easing at risk? Well, easing of their tariffs, of course.
Always said, Gabriele, that these are two completely separate subjects and discussions. The trade negotiations have gone their own way. We have in place a framework agreement that we are implementing where the discussions continue. And this is totally separate from our legislative sovereignty to which the DSA belongs. So this example today just confirms this. Any other questions to Thomas? I have one online. Is this for Thomas, just to make sure? Jelle, Denken?
No, it's not for Thomas.
It's
for you, Paula.
Okay, Jelle, then just give me a second. I'll get back to you. Then David. David?
Thank you, Paula, for the opportunity. I think it's for both of you, in fact, because I mean, this investigation on X took 2 years, and I mean, quite long for relatively small issues. The blue check, access to data for research, etc. Now there are, for the European democracy in particular, there are issues that are much more important, and you are inquiring, investigating on it, which is how the algorithm of X works, and so on and so on. So I'm wondering if you think that your procedure are up to date to the challenge posed, not just by X, but in general by platform and so on. Or should the Commission hire more people, or just make an omnibus to make the rules more easy to apply? Thank you.
Let me start, and then Thomas, you'll complement. this is rather young legislation in a subject which is also rather infant, and where all the challenges which come, notably for the users, for us all as consumers, are being revealed as we go. So it's only normal that even for what you call small issues, yes, there was the need for a time to go through it. It's new legislation that is being enforced for the first time. And it's not about legislation where we already have experience, where there is jurisprudence, where we can refer to precedents. This is new legislation. We need to make sure, because we're dealing with tech companies, we're dealing with very strong stakeholders, also economically, commercially. We need to have court-proof decisions that even if they are challenged, we can be sure that there is a solid argumentation and that we can absolutely defend our decisions. Hence, we are taking the time that is necessary. This is one key priority, as you know, for the Commission. That's why we've also hired more colleagues who are working specifically on the enforcement of this legislation. Anything else on the different investigations in particular, Thomas?
No, just to add indeed that, we already had an omnibus, digital omnibus. The DSA was not part of it for a very precise reason. There is no need to simplify that legislation, definitely not. No, indeed, as Paula said, more people are always possible, but we again follow due process. We respect, of course, what companies are doing. The new legislation also shows, and EVP said it publicly, she said it on the record, the first case, bringing the first non-compliance decision to an end, is a very important step, because the Commission is in a learning process and the platforms are in a learning process. Now that we went through all these processes one first time, we can for sure also expect that the following cases we will already be more familiar with the procedure, and the companies too.
Any other questions on this topic? No? Then, Jelle, we can go back to you online.
Yes, thank you, Paula. I would like to ask if you can elaborate a bit about the meeting this evening between the President, Merz, and De Wever. What is the actual purpose of this meeting? And will von der Leyen come up with additional proposals or additional guarantees to convince De Wever for this reparation loan? Thank you,
Jelle. This will be certainly a possibility, an opportunity to discuss, to further discuss, I should say, the proposal that the Commission and that the President von der Leyen herself presented in this press room only 2 days ago. It comes timely, as you know, as the President said it herself, with the legal proposal. It's a new chapter that starts, where we can discuss with all member states and obviously with Belgium the very concrete legal proposal. This reinitiates a period of consultations, a period of listening, in view of the December Council, where it is the objective shared by the Commission, shared by the President of the European Council, to deliver on a solution, as, by the way, requested by the European Council itself, by all the leaders who have asked the Commission to put forward a solution in view of finding the means to support Ukraine in its financing needs for 2026-2027. So the meeting comes in this context. Yes.
Thank you so much. Zoriana Stepanenko, Radio Free Europe's Ukrainian service. I have a follow-up question on this topic. Do you have, Paula, any updates for us given the timing of the meeting? So when should we expect it, whether it will be late tonight or, any specific details on the timing? And the second question, Belgian Prime Minister just recently said in the interview to La Libre that there is no assumption that Russia might lose the war in Ukraine, and this is one of the reasons why he is so skeptical about approving of the reparation law to Ukraine. So, do you have any feedback for him, given his comment that he doesn't believe that Ukraine can win this war? Thanks.
Thank you. Now, I will not have any comment specifically on that. I think I said this, the views of the Prime Minister will certainly be shared today and discussed with President von der Leyen, also with Chancellor Merz, and we'll then take it from there. Stefan.
Yes, I understand that the proposal last week was all about guarantees for Belgium. So now the Belgian Prime Minister says there are not sufficient guarantees. So do you have an idea what, in his view, is lacking there as a guarantee or as a security against reprisals from Russia? Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. You referred to the proposal last week. You're right. It seems like last week, but it was only 2 days ago that we presented. But it's been a very intense week. I fully agree with you. It feels like last week. As said, this is the first opportunity to discuss at leaders level the proposal now also on the table after the formal adoption of the proposal. So I guess and anticipate that these questions will be discussed, also how the Prime Minister views the proposal. Yes.
Oui, bonjour, Olivier Beau, AFP. Je m'interrogeais un peu sur la méthode que vous avez utilisée pour ces propositions que vous avez mises donc sur la table il y a 2 jours. La Belgique, depuis des semaines, dit qu'elle se refuse à payer les pots cassés toute seule. Elle demande des garanties. Est-ce que vous vous êtes assuré auprès des États membres, est-ce que dans les consultations que vous avez pu avoir, que vous avez dû avoir, est-ce que vous êtes assuré au préalable que ces garanties, que ces États membres étaient prêts à apporter ces garanties, ou vous vous êtes dit, bon, on va faire cette proposition et on discutera après, comme tu viens de nous l'expliquer. Merci.
Non, bien sûr. Pendant les dernières semaines, on était en contact à plusieurs niveaux concernant les options qu'on était en train de regarder. Et tu te rappelles, il y a eu la lettre de Madame la Présidente von der Leyen avec les 3 options à l'époque. Sur cette base, il y a eu plusieurs discussions, notamment au Coreper, où justement les États membres ont pu se prononcer sur les différentes options qu'on avait présentées. Et c'est sur cette base qu'après on a présenté les 2 solutions qui ont été adoptées par la Commission mercredi. Mais bien évidemment, il n'y a pas eu de vide entre-temps. Il y a eu des discussions permanentes à plusieurs niveaux avec les États membres pour aussi sentir quels étaient les soucis et pour essayer au maximum d'adresser les questions, les soucis qui avaient été exprimés pendant ces discussions. Oui, vas-y.
Juste un petit follow-up. Donc, à l'issue de ces discussions, de ces consultations, est-ce que vous avez eu l'impression que les États membres étaient prêts à donner leurs garanties comme le demandait la Belgique?
Écoute, tu as bien vu, et Madame Présidente von der Leyen l'a aussi souligné ici dans cette salle de presse, qu'on a bien écouté notamment les soucis exprimés par la Belgique et on a, par exemple, élargi le champ d'application de la proposition. Tu te rappelles bien qu'au début, on parlait d'un champ d'application qui concernait essentiellement les biens gelés en Belgique. Là, on l'a élargi. On est venu avec des garanties de sécurité supplémentaires. On est venu avec des solutions qui permettent vraiment de partager la responsabilité, de faire dans un esprit de solidarité. Donc, ça reflète bien qu'on était à l'écoute et qu'on a tout fait avec nos collègues pour répondre et pour satisfaire aux soucis essentiels ou disons aux soucis principaux qui avaient été exprimés lors de ces discussions préliminaires qui ont antécédé la proposition formelle. Diego?
Thanks. Do you expect a breakthrough tonight? And second question, j'entends un certain agacement envers la Belgique dans ta dernière prise de parole. Ai-je raison?
Pas du tout. On a dit souvent, on comprend qu'il y ait des soucis, on comprend qu'il y ait des questions, on comprend que le fait que les biens dont on parle se trouvent essentiellement en Belgique soulèvent des questions. C'est une première. On n'avait jamais eu de législation dans ce champ-ci, dans ce secteur-ci. Donc, pas du tout. C'est légitime de poser des questions et c'est aussi légitime qu'on essaye de trouver les réponses à ces questions. Donc, pas du tout. Au contraire, on comprend bien et c'est pour ça qu'on a eu ce processus de dialogue qui a mené maintenant à une proposition et où le dialogue continue d'ailleurs. Jorge, and then we'll change subject because we're almost at 1 p.m. and I guess there will be other subjects also of interest today.
Yes, it's more of a technical question that was not clear to me after the presentation on Wednesday. You said that you are proposing 2 tranches of guarantees, 105 billion and 105 billion, which makes the total 210, which is the value of the assets in the European Union. But how do you plan to guarantee a worst-case scenario where the assets, 210, plus additional costs from arbitration or litigation need to be covered? Because if the limit is 210, how do you plan to go beyond that in the worst-case scenario? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call Balázs to join us. Try to cover the more general and political questions on the more technical elements. Balázs.
Yes, indeed. So I think this question ties back to the Belgian concerns that we have been doing our best to assuage. And indeed, you have a bilateral investment treaty between several member states of the EU and Russia, and Belgium is also one of these countries. And one of the concerns is indeed to look at how we can, in this regard, mutualize the risk potentially and provide additional safeguards in addition to those that are already incorporated in this bilateral investment treaty. So this is also something that we are looking at very closely.
Okay. So no more questions on this topic. Tommaso, is it still on this? I really want to now move on to a different topic.
It's another issue.
It's another issue. Go ahead, because we move on indeed.
Okay, it's just on the case which involved former High Representative Federica Mogherini and former Secretary General of the EEAS, Mr. Sannino. Because I have read the letter which Madame Callas, High Representative Callas, sent to the employees. She basically says that her handling of the service would be different from that of the previous mandates, plural, which means, to me, Mogherini and Borrell. And she also wrote actually, that the vast majority of the employees of the EEAS are doing an excellent work, which implies that there is a minority which is not doing an excellent work. So my questions are, is Madame Callas at war with her service? And the second one, we've been informed that, I have read actually, that the investigation led by the EPPO was initiated because of a complaint coming from inside the EEAS. I wonder if High Representative Callas knew anything about this complaint, or if she approved the presentation of the complaint to the prosecutors. Many thanks.
Thank you, Tommaso. I will ask Anita to join us. I don't think we'll have much to comment on the message from HIVP Callas to her staff, which I read as a message of support. Anita, anything you can add there?
Thank you. I have no further comments to make other than the comments that we have made the other day, where we said the investigations are ongoing and we're following due process.
Good. Other questions on other topics? Not sure we'll be able to add anything, David. Give it a go.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm not an expert on internal procedure, how much EIS is autonomous from the Commission and so on. But I just want to know if an internal inquiry has been launched on this case, apart from EPPO and Olaf and Belgian authorities and so on. Thank you.
Anita, are you aware of internal inquiry?
Mm-hmm. There are investigations happening right now, so this is the state of play, and this is where we are.
Okay. Other topics? Yes? Ideally foreign affairs, since we have Anita. I don't know if it's the case. It's not, then let me just see if we have questions for Anita. Yes.
C'est une question affaires étrangères, mais plus pour Anouar.
Pour Anouar, tu veux
Oui,
dire.
plutôt
OK.
pour Anouar.
Donc, je regarde. Il n'y a plus de questions pour Anita. Donc, pour Anouar, vas-y.
Oui, non, je voulais savoir si vous n'étiez pas un peu frustré par le fait que la deuxième étape du plan de paix américain à Gaza n'était toujours pas entrée en vigueur, alors que toutes les conditions sont manifestement remplies. Et donc, je voulais savoir si vous avez un message particulier à adresser sur cette question.
OK. Anouar, sur le plan de paix et la mise en œuvre de la deuxième phase, qu'on souhaite tous qu'elle soit en effet appliquée dans l'intérêt d'une paix durable pour la région. Anouar.
Oui, merci. Merci Olivier pour la question. Notre position reste la même. Nous saluons les efforts diplomatiques qui ont été déployés par les États-Unis et le rôle joué par les médiateurs régionaux que l'Union européenne n'a cessé de soutenir. En termes d'état des lieux, nous invitons, et cela a été notre position dès le départ, toutes les parties à s'engager pleinement, à mettre en œuvre toutes les phases du plan et de s'abstenir de toute action susceptible de compromettre l'accord.
Okay. D'autres questions pour Anouar? Non. Alors, on peut passer à ta question. Vas-y.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Vincenzo Genovese from Euronews. I have a question on migration, so maybe it's for Marcus. Basically, my question is on the Solidarity Pool. Because on Monday, as you know, the EU ministers will discuss the Solidarity Pool on the Pact on Migration. For what I understood, 30,000 relocations of asylum seekers among EU countries is the minimum set by law for any Solidarity Pool for any year. But apparently several member states argue that this number should be lowered for 2026, for next year, because the Pact on Migration will apply only in the second half of 2026. So my question is, does the Commission consider it appropriate to have a size under 30,000 relocation for 2026? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincenzo, for the question. Last month, the Commission took a further step in implementing the Pact on Migration and Asylum by launching the first annual migration management cycle. And now, in terms of process, it's for the Council to adopt the implementing decision establishing the Solidarity Pool. Discussions between Member States are ongoing, and this will also be a topic next week on Monday at the Justice and Home Affairs Council. Now, more specifically regarding your question, the Commission proposal regarding the Solidarity Pool is not public, so I cannot comment on size or distribution. But what I can say is the following. The first cycle is particular in that the Pact enters into application midway through the year, so in 2026, June. The Commission's proposal for the annual Solidarity Pool covers a full year, but the reduced period of implementation is an element that the Council may consider in the process leading up to adoption of the Solidarity Pool, always keeping the balance between solidarity and responsibility.
Thank you, Marcus. Other questions for Marcus? No. Other topics today? Does not seem to be the case. Then we'd like to wish you a good afternoon, hopefully a good weekend too. Thank you.